Thank you, Joe. In fact, it was a very good opportunity for us also in GPCB to get connected to a research work like the one which Jaypal has undertaken, especially in most cases we see in our country that researches are carried out and the theses lie on the university desk. Very few researches get converted into the policy and policy ultimately into the practice. So this is one such unique case that we have come across where the research was really used for making the policy. So I'll take you through a brief journey how it happened and what were the challenges that even we had in government to convert the research into the policy and how did we overcome. So how Gujarat Pollution Control Board responded to these challenges and so on. But it wasn't it wasn't very easy for us to tell the auditors, you're not doing good. So it's never easy to tell people that, okay, you are not doing good. So we had the very concrete results over here and we could really convince them if we introduce a better system than the one which is already in place, how would you react to it? And yes, they said that yes, so because the evidence is very clear over here. So let me just take you to the scenario of Gujarat. Although Rohini did mention that Gujarat 5% of population against 19% of manufacturing base that we have, and that too, if we see sectors like pharmaceuticals, we are 35%, having a very strong footings, even in chemical sector and petrochemicals, and that's the reason that it posed a lot of challenges for environmental protection in the country. So it's always we have been hearing that Planning Commission has been saying that if India has to achieve say 7% growth rate, Gujarat has to achieve 12%, and that's the reason that it has been always posing a lot of challenges for regulators, especially in the SPCBs in Gujarat. So how do we we undertake the monitoring to face these challenges? There are basically two types of monitoring network that we have in Gujarat. One is a regulatory monitoring, like any other SPCBs, they do monitor through their own staff. But as was mentioned, we always have a staff crunching. Staff is always a big issue, may it be GPCB or for that matter any other states and even in CPCB. Like entire India, if we compare with any other developed countries, staff is always a major issue. So then even in the judgment which High Court pronounced while introducing this environmental audit scheme, it did mention that this particular scheme would strengthen GPCB in terms of its monitoring from two angles. One, it will provide an additional staff to do monitoring, and second, it will allow them to monitoring from a totally different angle. So the regulators are normally focused only on the command and control, and that to the end of the pipe treatment. Unlike the command and control and end of the pipe treatment, the environmental auditors are also mandated to look at the cleaner technology and the other options as well. So that's the scheme all about. So the second type of monitoring is court mandated third party environmental audit program, but we did realize that it did not work with the real satisfaction that it was expected, and that's the reason that GPCB tested two innovative solutions. So we partnered with the external evaluators and changed and tested these impacts of the change evaluation. So what is the court mandated audit? The intention was of the court was to introduce the environmental audit through a third party with a very clear objective to achieve totally different type of outcome than the regulator's objective of taking the sample from the outlet and comparing it with the standards. So it's not that only only that objective as such. It also expects that auditors would come out with a very concrete reasoning about what are the shortfalls and so on. But they were never even even addressing the main issue of whether the industries are meeting with the are complying with the statutory standards or not. So it did not help to some extent, and there were a couple of suits filed in the court to scrap this entire scheme. But High Court, Honorable High Court in Gujarat realized that, after having appointed the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, wherein NIRI reported that the scheme is excellent, but it requires strengthening. So High Court said yes, the objective is very good, and it has achieved the objective to some extent, but yes, there are certain gaps into it. So better to strengthen this scheme. So there was a very clear report even from NIRI also at that context, and then it was the right time to get connected to the researchers to work on what are those areas which we can strengthen further to achieve the real objectives of the scheme. So why did we partner to the researchers? There is in Gujarat there is a very clear commitment from the state to protect the environment. It's a very clear mandate from top of the government that okay, we want development but not at the cost of environment. So yes, it's on the top priority, and yes, right from top we have been having a very clear mandate of environmental protection and pollution control. So Gujarat, where we had a 3-decade-old legacy of pollution issues, may it be Sabarmati River or a couple of other rivers, we had a lot of challenges to take up those things on priority under the clear objective of the state's the revised priorities. So we knew that under this particular directions, we thought that it would be a right opportunity to get connected and come out with something which is very concrete in nature, and we can tell to the auditors that yes, we can have a better system than the one which is already in place. So we wrote a final agreement with the researchers over here, and we had series of meetings as was explained. We had several brainstorming exercises within the GPCB with auditors and the external evaluators, which are Schedule 1 auditors like academic institutes and research institutes also. They were also part of that, and finally the work started together by GPCB and GPAL over here. And as was mentioned, there are very clear recommendations, and the evidences were so clear that recommendations emerge out of this research where let us randomly assign the auditors to the industry instead of industry selecting the auditors. One. Second, let there be no negotiation of audit fees. So either the auditors to be paid the lump sum fees which was originally there in the scheme when High Court initially introduced this scheme, but later on it was modified, the scheme was modified. So that's again a very strong recommendation which emerges out of this research. And third is let us introduce some kind of a back check. So after having received these recommendations, what did we do? We took up the matter with the board. And the board, it would require, it would require, one is a board approval, and second is, if at all there are major changes into the scheme, it might require the High Court approval also. So it wasn't easy straight away to adopt the recommendations and start implementing the new scheme. So, getting approval of the board itself is one level of, stage, but going to the High Court again, and that too, joining many people as a party and coming out with a very clear mandate. Since it was the research was very clear, and it was very unusual that we got very straight away approval from the board, although we had a very detailed discussion in the board meeting. But yes, the board was very clear, and in fact, it was also discussed that why can't it be, the same recommendations be applicable to the financial audit or the accounting auditing system as well, because the principle remains the same by and large over here, whether it may it be environmental audit or accounting audit or financial audit. So GPCB it approved it very clearly and said that yes, it's worth implementing this research. So after having done that, the major challenge before us was to put it into the practice. So we did examine that, a couple of recommendations would require the nod from the Honorable High Court of Gujarat, especially the fees part of the auditors, where we found that in one of the judgments, High Court did mention that we leave it to the industries to negotiate the fees with the auditors. So we are going to approach the Honorable High Court for this, change, and the other things we can straight away implement. And we have to implement these recommendations. We developed a software, as Joe was mentioning, that we have a very robust e-governance program in Gujarat, and we have entire this permit mechanism online. We have database of all 20,000 plants available on the tip of our computer. So we integrated one more module in our e-governance program called Extended Green Node, which is also known as XGN. And this audit module allows, the industries are assigned the auditors randomly by computer generated program. So instead of the manual assignment either from the GPCB head office or the regional offices, it's the computer who assigns the auditors to the industries. So instead of either auditors being appointed by the industry themselves or by GPCB officers. So it's basically totally automatically, with certain riders put into it, like the same auditor cannot do the job or for the consulting work of the same industry, and the auditor cannot do the audit for the same industry for more than three years. So those are the riders which are already inbuilt into the software, and software does take care of it. And the second is the fees. The fees is also getting calculated. The way auditors perform the work, like the number of samples that he collects, number of parameters he analyzes, and auditor starts putting up the data, inserting the data into the software. So it's visible to GPCB immediately, and the report gets built at the end of the year. So major part of the report is prepared by the software itself, and the soft work like identification of cleaner technology options or identification of cleaner production options. These are the work because that's the key area for any auditor to use its own expertise, and except that part, the report is generated through the software. But the major achievement in this system is the moment auditor goes to the industry, it puts its schedule, it's visible to the GPCB, and so that which auditor is going to visit which industry on which date. So accordingly, the random back check can be assigned to Schedule 1 auditors. Say 1% of back check, so system can take care of that part as well. So that's the beauty of the software, which is now getting it's almost a final touch is going on over here. And another beauty is the auditor's remarks are going to be part of the system, like whatever is auditor's remarks or recommendations would become an integral part of the XGN module, so that whenever the GPCB officer or the regulator goes for its routine monitoring of the industry, he has to ensure that the recommendations given by the auditors, whether those recommendations are complied with by the industry or not. So the officer who is going to visit the industry now has to tick mark, yes, complied or not complied. So this is the way the audit reports have become an integral part of the decision making process in GPCB. So that's another beauty of this software. And like some of the examples how different modules are integrated. In fact, all entire data entry, like an industry's data entry is already there. So most of the audit reports, like certain information is very common, which is already available to GPCB. So those information are shared with the auditors, so that auditors also know that this industry is manufacturing these products. He has to look at from which angle, because many a times it happens that industry do not showcase certain products which they are otherwise manufacturing. So because while the auditor goes to the industry, during that particular time only one or two product is getting manufactured, so it won't capture the real picture. But while GPCB officers also monitor different products are getting manufactured, so even auditors get a lot of information from the database that yes, this is the correct picture. So they get better idea how to audit this firm in a real sense. So the software has that beauty. So only step that we have now pending is to approach the Honorable High Court and get a node of especially getting this rider removed, that let it be, which Honorable High Court very clearly mentioned in one of its judgments, that let it be between the industry and auditor to decide, especially the fees part of it. So after having what next, like as Rohini was mentioning, this collaboration has been immensely helpful, especially the type of the results that we got and the way we could have it implemented and converted into a even implementable policy. What next can we really think of? So we did initiate. One is a continuous emission monitoring system, where we have Dr. Saha sitting over here. We have already prepared a very comprehensive guideline for the first time in the country with the help of CPCB, GPCB and MPCB. We have this guideline prepared for installation of continuous emission monitoring system for industrial suspended particulate monitoring. Yes, it's a big breakthrough. And second is the emission trading system, which is again, as was said, very ambitious program. But it's a time, in fact, if we look at the entire, Indian evaluation of Indian enviro, legal, entire paradigm. We have been, having the tenets of command and control. We have never allowed the market to play any role. And now that, we have heard that even China has decided, US is already, having a very robust water quality trading program already in place. They have EPA guidelines on the water quality trading program, acid rain programs already, one which is very successful in nature. So it's a very high time, because even Planning Commission did mention in a couple of plans in past that it's a high time to test the market instruments, which we have not tested so far. So once this SAMS rollout, which is already on hand, in fact, SAMS rollout is going on right now in Gujarat and Maharashtra. Probably the next step we will have is to test the ETS, emission trading. And again, if that is successful, probably it will be a beginning of smart laws in the country, I would say. And we are also working on the water quality trading program. So, like, unlike air, which is more of a, say, global or regional pollutant, water is to a great extent it's a local pollutant, because it affects the local surrounding where the water flows or the groundwater hydrologically gets connected. So again, over here we have collaborated for randomized evaluation for testing the water quality trading program. So it's a continuous collaboration that we have had. So thank you.